rainy January day. It is the beginning of 2020, and I wanted to introduce myself to folks who are just joining us. I started this channel, I guess, about 6 months ago in the heart of the summer, and it's followed my path as an outdoor educator through the fall, and I'm starting to do prep for the next season. So I wanted to introduce myself to new folks, those folks just tuning in. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. I am an outdoor educator. I'm a New Yorker based in central North Carolina at the moment. I teach kayaking and wilderness medicine and navigation and cooking and photography and stuff like that. I've been doing that for about 17 years. And so this is a chronicle of what it's like to be an outdoor educator. It's a great job, except for when it's a lousy job, and on a cold, rainy day when you have to go check on some gear, it's kind of a lousy job. The other part of this is a big part of being an outdoor educator is continually building a skill set and continuing to learn. There's a whole thing about the levels of mastery of a skill, and one of them is false master. It's the person who thinks they know absolutely everything and they have nothing to learn, and that happens almost by accident if you don't continually push your skill set so that you keep learning. And so to go along with that idea, you want to be in what's called beginner's mind. And in 2019 I started learning how to sail, and so this will also chronicle the growth of my skills as a sailor as I'm building experience. In February, so in about a month, almost exactly a month, I'll head off to Baja, Mexico to do a NOLS sailing course. That's a part of me learning how to sail to build my skill set. When I became a kayaking instructor, one of the first things I did was a NOLS kayaking course as a student, and then later became a NOLS sea kayaking instructor. And so it worked well for me, and I thought, hey, let's do it again. And then in April or May, I'm going to help someone move a boat, and I need to be doing things like that, a full-size boat. I spent most of 2019 sailing little racing dinghies, which is a lot of fun, but I need to get experience in bigger boats. And so that's what's going on here, along with sort of gear work and maintaining the gear that I use for work, and gear reviews and things like that. It's just sort of a slice of life of myself as an outdoor educator. At the moment, I have to go check on some gear in my storage container at the lake where I teach, one of the places that I teach. The problem is that this day of the week, the lake is closed, so I've got to hike in on a trail, and it's raining and gross. So let's go for a hike. When you become an outdoor educator, you think that you're going to be spending all your time doing fun, cool things. You don't realize that the bulk of it is wrangling gear and moving gear and fixing gear and things like that. So today I've got to just check on some gear in our storage container. 10 degrees colder, it would be snowing, which would be really nice. And since the gates are locked, I have to walk in on this trail. It's not very long, but it's wet and gross. Super slippery and gross. So this is where I work in the summer. These are my kayaks and stand-up paddleboards. Well, not mine, the company I work for, and all the associated gear. And we teach at this little lake, and we teach on the trails as well as on the water. It's really a great venue for us. It's one-stop shopping. But I had to just check on the gear. And so what's going on is that last year they decided to stop running programming here, and there's been debate back and forth since like last July, and it's January, as to what's going on. And someone told me that, well, they were originally going to come and pick up the gear and just take it away in like September, and that didn't happen. and I thought we were okay and we'd be teaching again, and then just recently they were like, oh no, we came and picked up that gear, but clearly they didn't, because here it is. So I don't really know what's going on. I was just asked to check and come and see the gear was here and everything is cool, and the gear is here and everything is cool. There were a couple of videos about this last year, and I'll keep you posted as to what's going on. If they tell me I'm not going to teach here for them, I'll just start teaching here privately on my own. I won't have all these boats, but I can still do it. Just being here when the lake is closed and quiet is really nice. Even in the rain, it's really beautiful. But it is cold. So I've got kayaks, I've got stand-up paddle boards, I've got some bikes, and then just regular gear storage for hiking classes. And this is just a mobile mini storage container that's used for storing gear. It's a great way to store gear at a venue, really great. An easy 30 minutes work. Kind of wish it wasn't raining, but I'll take what I can get. So these trails are all mountain bike trails. The one I walked in on is a hiking trail, but these are mountain bike trails, and the mountain bikers are really fanatical about taking good care of their trails. So the trails close whenever it rains. And there's a phone number you can call that'll tell you all about what trails are open and what trails are closed each day. They're super organized. The other part of my life, sort of, is my van. I'm a part-time van lifer. I use it as my office in the summer and a camper in the winter, and really it's so I can go camping with my two dogs. My other car is a little tiny Toyota, and they don't do so well in there, particularly with all the camping gear. And projects coming up, I've got to fix a door, I've got to add a swivel seat, I want to add some more LED lights. So tune in to see that stuff. I've also got to do some repairs on my kayak, which I want to do pretty soon. I've got to redo the entire cockpit. My cockpit is chewed up. My boat's about 10 years old and has thousands of miles on it. It's the boat that I used to kayak the Inside Passage in 2011. It's been to Alaska a couple times. It's paddled all over, and of course I teach in it, and so the cockpit's in really bad shape. So I'm going to redo the cockpit. So there's a lot coming up this year, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to shoot a lot of video on my NOLS course, which you can find little bits of NOLS courses online, but I want to do something a little bit more thorough. Yet another part is that I write books. So this is a book I wrote called Go. It's a trip planning book, and I've written a bunch of little books. The Simple Guide to Stand-Up Paddling, or paddle boarding. There's also a simple guide to backpacking, a simple guide to kayaking. Do I have that here? Simple guide to kayaking. And that's just based on experience from like 20 years of teaching in the outdoors. My van is always sort of a mess. It's just loaded with gear. This is a sleeping bag. That's another sleeping bag. My backpack for teaching. A first aid kit, all my nav gear, my stove gear, my dry suit. I've just got gear kind of everywhere. Always cleaning, always sort of organizing. I have a lot of gear. Because, you know, you teach a bunch of different things in the outdoors. Everything requires its own gear. And I work really hard to keep it organized, and it is not easy. I have gear freaking everywhere. And so that's the plan. And if that sounds like fun, join me. It's going to be an interesting ride. I've got a lot planned for 2020. I'm super excited. So I think that's it. I'll see you outside.
At the Southeastern Center for Contemporary Art and vote for your favorite. It's a free event, but registration is required.